ASMR Magical Tools. Hello Pisces, hello. Welcome back. So, to start out your reading, Pisces, I'm going to light a cone of this backflow white sage incense. Backflow white sage incense. It looks like this, and it can be a little difficult to get it lit, so hopefully we won't have any problems. Excuse me. Alright. Wonderful. Oh, listen to it make that noise. Let's see if it's ready. Very interesting noises that this incense is making, but immediately it starts pouring out the bottom. So that's a good sign. I'm going to pull for you a card from this Flower Magic Oracle deck, Pisces. I love this deck. It's got that very late 90s aesthetic to it. Very late 90s aesthetic. And I apologize, I think my neighbor is irritated and is making a lot of noise. Just to be difficult. So try to just tune it out. That's what I do. Alright, Pisces. Let's find out the overarching energy of your reading. These cards have been pretty accurate to the theme of the reading so far. So let's see. Let's see what comes up in your reading. All right. So, Pisces, the card that I have for you is Lavender. Peace. And I'm going to read to you the meaning. Okay. So, look for that elusive inner peace, for calm and relaxation to increase. Let go of anger and all that is bad. Find your inner happiness. Be glad. Feel joy, sense freedom. Embrace light. Against turmoil and rage, you need not fight. Do you need a bit of rest and relaxation? Close your eyes, even just for a minute, and and envision fields of beautiful lavender flowers swaying gently in the breeze. Keep a check on your temper and find an outlet for any anger. Holding anger internally will just eat you up from the inside out, so find a safe escape route for it. Happiness is something that probably everyone is seeking, and one of the ways to the path of happiness is peace, that deep inner peace that gives you an all-over calm and joyful feeling. Peace is incredibly hard to keep hold of all the time, but for those moments when you hit the pure happiness button, it is perfect. We make our own happiness, so decide what you want and how to get it and how to go for it. Just try to hang on to that inner bubble of peace. So, lavender is an excellent calming herb, and you can grow it in your yard if you have a yard. You can also get lavender essential oils. Lavender essential oils. Now, I love essential oils, but I also want to point out that they are not a replacement for medicine, and that they are not to be taken internally. So, use your essential oils externally, topically, and enjoy their beautiful fragrances. Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Rising. For the May 2021 tarot readings, I'm going to be using the Ethereal Visions Illuminated Tarot deck. And if you enjoy the artwork of this artist, Matt Hughes, who did this deck, they have two other decks that are out this year. They have the Dreamscape Oracle deck, which is already available for purchase, I believe. And then the Luna Tarot, which will be coming out later this year. It should be out by December. So they're already having the Kickstarter for the Luna Tarot. Alright, Pisces, let's look at what your situation is going to be for May of 2021. Pisces. So let's see what will be going on with you for the month of May 21. This is the current situation. Here we have the past, the present, and the future. And we have the goal or destiny. Here is your perspective on the situation. Here is outside perspectives. Here's your hopes and dreams and your final outcome. Sorry. So I'm actually going to start out here in the past position, and we will see what sparked off the chain of events that will be going on into the present day. The Magician in the reverse. So there could have been a period of time in the recent past where you felt very helpless to control your own destiny. But inversely, you could have had a period that is over now in which you manifested quite a bit for yourself. So let's see. We'll have to turn these cards over to find out more about that. The current position. We do have the Seven of Swords. Seven of Swords. Seven of Swords. So the Seven of Swords is about treachery, backstabbing, deceit. Somebody could be trying to get one over on you or scam you. What is this situation crossed by? The Emperor. Oh, so the Emperor can be somebody who is an authority figure. And it could be that at this time, somebody who has authority in your life is trying to get one over on you. Now, he didn't come out in the reverse, so that's very interesting. It could be that you don't even realize that this person is trying to scam you, or that you assume that they are looking out for your best interest. Best interest. Let's look down here at the current situation and we'll get a little bit more information. So this card represents your perspective on the current situation. And we have the Well. The Well has to do with enlightenment, enlightenment, and going deep within yourself to find answers and the truth. This card of the Well, the Ethereal Visions Tarot, actually has 80 cards instead of the usual 78. And the artist has added a couple of cards, and the Well is one of those cards. So it looks like you are going within to seek answers for this situation, which seems like a very typically Piscean thing to do. Let's look here at the outside perspective of your situation. And we have here the King of Cups. So people recognize your own authority. I think people see you as this King of Cups, Pisces. King of Cups is definitely a water sign, and he does have this little fish on his necklace. This is someone who has dominion over their emotional states also, and someone who can be a very paternal figure, very nurturing, but in an actively nurturing kind of a way, whereas the Queen of Cups is passively nurturing. Let's look here at the current situation. This is the truth of the matter, not clouded by perspective. should have been something that ended up happily ever after, but didn't. Something could have ended in divorce. And this emperor, I definitely feel like is a person in your life, whether that is a business partner or a romantic partner. They don't have to be a man to be embodied by the emperor. They could be an Aries, or they could just be somebody who holds a position of authority. Maybe they are a police officer, or they work in government, or have a certain modicum of authority, because they did come out in the upright. So while I do feel like there is some treachery or backstabbing there, I also feel like this person is usually very upright morally, and that they are not trying to scam you because of feeling like that's the right thing to do, or feeling like that's what they need to do. I think that they could be doing it in spite of knowing what the right thing to do is. Let's look here at, I'm hearing self-esteem. I'm hearing that this card represents your self-esteem, but what it really represents is your hopes and dreams. And your hopes and dreams are the environment in which the future will take place. We have the Three of Wands coming out here in the reverse. Now this Three of Wands is about waiting for something, and a lot of people have been getting the Three of Wands reversed in their readings in the future positions. So the Three of Wands reversed, and I'm not really reading it as a true reversal because it's going to be the crossing conditions for the future. But this Three of Wands has to do with waiting for something to come in, and you might spend all of May waiting for this thing, and it might not come in yet. Let's look at the future itself. Four of Cups reversed. Four of Cups reversed. Four of Cups in the reverse can be about not having options open to you. But because this is in the future, it could be that you have a few options open up to you, but you're not happy with any of them. But they will be there. And then that Three of Wands crossing would be still holding out for the option that you want. Holding out for the option that you most desire. So up here in the midheaven position, this is in direct opposition to what we're going to look at down here in the Imam Sili in more detail when I pull the 12 houses spread from the Lenormand deck. These are all of the situations that lead up through the current situation, through this filter, into what ends up happening in the future. What ends up happening in the future, the goal or destiny. And the card that we have in this position is the Nine of Swords, which has to do a lot with nightmares, stress, anxiety attacks. So, because there was a less than ideal ending here, is what it looks like. And this is kind of a vague ending with little closure, is what it looks like also. Because if it were a Ten of Swords or a Tower or the Death card, that would be a very definitive ending. But what we have here is something which actually never really got started, right? So the Four of Wands is an ending of sorts, but it's more like a completion. So it's more like a happily ever after. And because it's showing up here in the reverse, that tells me that there is an extreme lack of closure in this situation, which is then leading you here into this anxiety attack, especially if you are waiting and waiting for your ideal option instead of taking an option that's already available to you. Let's look here finally at the final outcome, and remember, Pisces, all is not lost. We're going to be pulling some Lenormand cards to look at all of these situations further, and also keep in mind that the reason to look at your tarot reading is so that you can change your trajectory. Because remember, we got the card of peace coming out. So make sure that you are embracing your inner peace, striving for enlightenment, and not waiting for something which may or may not present itself. It's okay to let go of this entirely, or to take something else until you feel like the right thing will come along. Sometimes in order to get what is meant to be yours, you have to take something that is not meant for you. I don't mean that like you need to steal. What I mean is, you might take a job because you have the opportunity to relocate to a different place because of that job, and then you end up finding something that you like much better while you're there. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. In this final outcome position, we have the Wheel of Fortune in the reverse. Now, the Wheel of Fortune upright is turning in your favor. This could mean that the Wheel of Fortune in the reverse is turning against your favor. But remember that this is in the future, and it's something that you cannot see yet, and that might be why it is coming out in the reverse like this. So that you're agonizing, but actually everything ends up turning out okay in the end, and it's really important that you keep that faith. Be the person everyone believes you are, even when you feel doubt. In this particular case, I think that's true. Alright, so let's move on to the Lenormand portion of the reading. Alright, Pisces, let's move on to the 12 houses spread. So this is the Lenormand deck that I designed, and it's available on my Etsy, and there's a link to that in the description box if you're interested in purchasing this deck. Pisces, the first house has to do with the self and has to do with beginnings. So, back here in the past, we have the Magician, and that could be a very potent magician, or that could be a very impotent magician. I think that whatever card we draw from the Lenormand deck will clarify that quite a bit. Although I get the sense that you had a very good run of manifesting things for yourself, and that's why there's going to be this moment of stress in the future. The future. Possible. Alright, in the first house we get the snake. The snake. So, it could be that you were doing such a great job of manifesting things that you didn't even see the treachery around you. Now, we do also have the snake on the Magician card. The Magician card. So the treachery, especially because this is the house of self, this treachery could be something that originated on your part. That's not necessarily the case, though. It could also be that the treachery has been part of this situation from its beginning, also. And that because you were very busy manifesting other things for yourself, whatever situation this treachery was a part of, you thought probably was completely taken care of. And so you weren't worried about manifesting anything on its behalf. And the Magician also has dominion over snakes a lot of times. At the bottom of the Magician card will be a serpent curled around his feet, or he'll have a serpent for a belt, or it'll be a dragon at his feet. But all of those things kind of mean the same thing, and that is having not just dominion, but foresight. So that's another thing that could be going on here with this past situation, was that you were more busy manifesting than you were doing the other crucial part of your work, which is divination. Divination is key. It's how you know that you're doing the right work and manifesting the right things for yourself. Things that will end up being beneficial to you. Because it's very nice to get a shiny new convertible, but if that means that you're going to end up driving yourself off of a cliff, that's something that you would want to know through divination. Alright, so the second house has to do with finances and stability. And is down here by this card of the well. And I can tell that you're digging deep right now. You're digging down inside yourself to find enlightenment. The well is slightly different from the Hermit card. The Hermit card is more about taking a retreat from others. But with the well, it's very likely that you are seeking out a reflection in others around you to divine more about your truth. So that is one way in which the well and the Hermit card are different. And in the second house, we get the self. We get the self. So if you are a Pisces rising, then Aries would be your second house of self. And it's possible that some of you have your sun sign is Aries and your rising sign is Pisces, and your sun sign is here in the second house of self. That's a possibility for some of you. It does look like you are looking out for yourself where your stability is concerned and where your finances are concerned. And that is a key part of this introspective process. The introspective process you are in, you are executing with yourself right now. Let's look at this Four of Wands in the reverse in the context of its position as the MMC and we're looking at the third and fourth houses with that. And the third house has to do with siblings, communication, and short distance travel, and can also have to do with your neighborhood and surroundings. So the card that we get for that position is the Clover. It looks like you've been very lucky as far as all those things are concerned, and you could have gotten a lucky piece of correspondence from somebody else, a lucky email, or a fourth house. The fourth house is home and family life. And there in the fourth house, we have the key. You could be getting the key to your new place. There's also a spell you can do using a key to get a new apartment. But the key also means things that need to be paid attention to. So there could be things around your house that need to be paid attention to. And as we're looking at all these things together, there's not a closure, but you could get a lucky break if you're looking around your old place, or if you're looking around your house. You could get a lucky piece of information or find a lucky piece of communication if you're paying attention to details. The fifth house has to do with creativity, romance, and is also related to your childhood. So it could be your own childhood, or it could be children who are part of your life. And remember, this is over here by the King of Cups, who is a very nurturing and paternal person. Very nurturing and paternal. So the card that we have for the fifth house is the fish. This could be money coming to you because of a creative venture. This could be money coming from your parents. This could be money coming from a romantic partner. Because we have the fish and the King of Cups coming out here together, it looks like somebody nurturing is providing for you at this time, and it could be for any number of those factors. Alright, so Pisces, the sixth house has to do with your daily routines and your health. Daily routines and your health. So far, we've got this square between the snake and the key, so that could be what you need to pay attention to. We've got a trine between the snake and the fish, so it could be affecting your money. There's also a square between the self and the fish, creating tension there. So in your sixth house, we have the birds. The birds can be, this can be social media. This is also groups of people coming together. Could be business meetings, could be luncheons with a bunch of friends. A bunch of people coming together to communicate about things. So that could be a panel of doctors talking about the best way to handle your case, or your insurance company, or it could be that in your daily routines you have to coordinate schedules with a bunch of other people. That's possible too. But I see a square here, so it might be lucky that you have to coordinate with a bunch of other people. That might end up being a lucky thing for you. The seventh house has to do with your interactions with others. So the first house is the house of self. The seventh house is the house of others, so partners, but also legal cases and open enemies are dealt with in the seventh house. And that is over by the Four of Cups and the Three of Wands here. So let's see what comes out there. We have the mouse. So there's something eating away at your relationships with other people, possibly. Or if you're dealing with a legal case, you could be gradually picking away at the different parts of the case. Or it could be an open enemy is gradually eating away at you. that is in opposition to the snake. So we have the snake here in the first house of self, and the mouse over here in the seventh house of others. So snakes often eat mice. That is something from the world of nature. We have a trine between the clover and the mouse, so it might actually be lucky that this thing is getting eaten away at. And then, of course, a square between the key and the mouse. It could be something that you need to pay attention to. The 8th house has to do with transitions. It also has to do with other people's property, so it's in direct opposition to your 2nd house, where we have the self card, and it's still over here by this 4 of cups and this 3 of wands. And in the 8th house we have the cross. So this could be burdens. There could be a situation where somebody's inheritance is a burden to you, or it could be that other people's possessions are a burden to you. You might have been saddled with a bunch of things that belong to other people, like so-and-so left his base over here 3 years ago, and he keeps asking me about it, but I know that he has no intention of picking it up, and it's taking up a lot of space in my living quarters. Things like that. Emotional baggage too can also be something that belongs to other people. Sex is also governed by the 8th house, so there could be a sexual relationship with somebody else which is becoming a burden to you. But again, it's over here by the 4 of cups and the 3 of wands, so you might be holding on to it until something better comes along. Next, we're looking at the 9th house, which has to do with all the things you elevate yourself with. So long distance travel, higher education, and also academic studies, and spiritual matters. So it could be involved in a religious organization, possibly, but not necessarily. And we have the Tower coming out there. So I think the Tower sometimes has to do with corporations or the government, or it could be a religious organization, as I was just saying. But it could, in this instance, be about control, be about self-control, being the key to elevating yourself out of this lower vibrational, anxiety-driven space of the 9 of Swords. So the 10th house has to do with your work and career, and is in direct opposition to the home and family life. And we have the key down here in the home and family life, so we know that that's going to be the key. But what is going to be to do with the work situation? We have the anchor, so that's good. That could be that your work situation is very established and very stable at this time. So looking at all this together, I don't often advocate for people burying themselves in work, but I feel like this control might be restored if you focus on your job and not worry so much about all these other factors for the time being. In the 11th house, we're going to be looking at iconoclasts. We're going to be looking at novel ideas, and we're also looking at your social groups. And this is going to be over here by the Wheel of Fortune in the final outcome position. So this will tell us a lot more about that situation. Also, tell us more about that situation. It's also in opposition to your 5th house. So we can look at some more of these interactions. So the 11th house, we have the moon. That could be a new career coming in for you. But the moon can also be things being brought to light. And the moon can also have to do with the arts. So there could be a situation where your creativity becomes a long-term career, because we're seeing here in the house of creativity, the fish, and here in the house of your social groups and novel ideas, we have the moon coming out, which can be about careers and can also be about the arts, and could have something to do with social media as well, because it's in the 11th house. 11th house. And that would make a lot of sense, because this could be a brand new idea that you haven't had before, and therefore the Wheel of Fortune would be showing up in the reverse, because you do not yet have the foresight to see what that's going to be, which is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just a surprise. A surprise. Hopefully a pleasant surprise. Alright, Pisces, so now we're finally back around to your 12th house. And this is your endings. This also has to do with your psychic intuition, and covers things like prophetic dreams. We have the whip. So there could be a very harsh ending to something, very harsh ending. If we're looking at the snake, the magician reversed, and the whip, the snake and the whip actually look very similar in body style. So, what was once treachery, you could be putting a very sharp end to that treachery indeed. We do have a square between the whip and the tower, so your control over that situation is going to be paramount. We have a trine between the whip and the cross, and usually trines are a good thing, but in this particular situation, the whip is gaining strength from this burden here, or the harshness of that situation is gaining strength from the cross being in that trine position. The whip is in opposition to the birds over here. Birds can also be about gossip. I think in this case we were talking about a lot of people that you might have to coordinate on a daily basis. So it's good not to get wrapped up in the office controversy or in other people's controversies, but do pay close attention to what other people are saying in your daily life, especially if you're working with big groups of people on a regular basis. Pisces, thank you for joining me, and best of luck to you in the month of May 2021. I hope that you enjoyed this reading. If you did, please let me know down in the comments. I also have a link in the description box if you would like to submit questions for future Q&A videos. I am hoping to be able to make those on a rotating basis, maybe like one a month or so, maybe one every few months. We'll see how it goes. I hope that you have a wonderful week, a magnificent month of May, and I look forward to seeing you again